Magic bullets, questions about shooters, and a supposed plot by the Soviet Union. The world may never know everything that really happened on November 22, 1963, but new details have come to light in the years since. 60 years after the assassination of President John F. Kennedy, a Secret Service agent who was feet away from the president when he was shot cast fresh doubt on the accepted story. In his 2023 book, The Final Witness, Paul Landis said he was the one who placed the mysterious bullet on the stretcher that held the president, which was officially reported as being found on Governor John Connally's gurney. The notion that the round came from Connally supports the magic bullet theory that claims a single shot hit both JFK and Connally. But Landis said he found the projectile on the top of the limo's rear seat, behind where JFK was sitting, on a ledge where the cushion met the metal of the car. In his book, he writes, "Instead of reaching down and replacing the bullet where I had found it, like I had done with the bullet fragment, I slipped it into my right suit coat pocket."
People were starting to converge towards the car. I thought a souvenir hunter, somebody might see that.
He planned to later give the bullet to Roy Kellerman, assistant special agent in charge of the Kennedy detail, but that didn't happen. Once at Parkland Hospital, Landis recounted being whisked into the facility along with the hospital staff and Secret Service agents. He ended up in the room with Kennedy on his gurney until the doctor in charge yelled for everyone to leave so the medical team could work.
People were pushing and shoving, and I just got shoved right up against the examination table.
Landis recalled, "People were starting to leave the room. I had to make another split-second decision." That's when he says he placed the bullet on the stretcher. If true, this would cast doubt on the magic bullet theory and support the idea that Lee Harvey Oswald didn't act alone. Landis did wait 60 years to tell the story, and he did so via a book. But Landis admits that he suffered from post-traumatic stress after the incident and buried all his thoughts of the day, including his actions. Lee Harvey Oswald was killed by nightclub owner Jack Ruby just 2 days after his arrest. The Warren Commission concluded that Oswald acted alone, but plenty of conspiracy theories suggest he had help.
Did you kill the president?
No, I've not been charged with that. In fact, nobody has said that to me yet.
In October 2017, declassified FBI files revealed that the Bureau thought it important that the public believe Oswald was the only shooter. In a memo issued on November 24, 1963, the day Oswald died, FBI Director J. Edgar Hoover stonewalled. There is nothing further on the Oswald case except that he is dead. Documents declassified in 1994 reveal that Assistant Attorney General Nicholas Katzenbach supported the single gunman theory in a memo to the White House written one day after Oswald's death, reading, "The public must be satisfied that Oswald was the assassin, that he had no Confederates who were still at large, and that evidence was such that he would have been convicted at trial." Evidence also suggests the Warren Commission was likely influenced by top-level government forces to conclude Oswald acted alone before it even began its investigation. President Lyndon B. Johnson, who took office after JFK died, called Georgia Senator Richard Russell Jr. on November 29th to inform him he would serve on the Warren Commission and stressed the importance of making clear Oswald, who had stated he was a communist and defected to the Soviet Union in 1959, came back to America and then joined a pro-Cuba communist group in New Orleans, had no ties to the Soviets or their Cuban allies.
Please disperse! Nothing to see here, please!
In the 2023 documentary JFK, What the Doctor Saw, Dr. Robert McClellan, who worked to save John F. Kennedy's life, made a chilling claim. According to him, Dr. Malcolm Perry initially said in a press conference that JFK's throat wound appeared to be an entrance wound, which could suggest a second gunman firing from the front, with Lee Harvey Oswald firing from the rear. McClellan recalled, "When he left the room, someone came up to him who Dr. Perry thought maybe was a Secret Service man who delivered a chilling message.
You must never, ever say that that was an entrance wound again if you know what's good for you."
McClellan died in 2019 at the age of 89, but he remained steadfast in his conclusion that there was likely more than one shooter involved in the assassination. He believed that the shot that killed Kennedy came from the infamous grassy knoll, where some witnesses claimed to have seen a second shooter. In an odd little twist, upon hearing about the Oswald shooting, McClellan rushed to Parkland Memorial Hospital. In Operation Dragon inside the Kremlin's secret war on America, ex-CIA Chief R. James Woolsey and Lieutenant General Ion Mihai Pacepa, a former acting chief of Communist Romania's secret police who defected to the US, claimed that Oswald was a KGB associate who was ordered by Soviet leader Nikita Khrushchev to assassinate Kennedy. Woolsey and Pacepa said Khrushchev called off the plan, but that Oswald went ahead with it. They claim that Oswald was recruited in 1957 while serving as a U.S. Marine in Japan's Atsugi Naval Air Facility, 2 years before he defected to the Soviet Union. then assigned to the plot to kill Kennedy in 1962. The pair point to the 26-volume Warren Commission reports, which they say offers the evidence in the form of KGB patterns and codes, writing, "Decoded, these pieces of evidence prove that John F. Kennedy's assassin, Lee Harvey Oswald, had a clandestine meeting in Mexico City with his Soviet case officer, Comrade Kostin, who's been identified by the CIA as belonging to the KGB's 13th Department for Assassinations Abroad."
And sometimes conspiracy theories turn out to be true.
What isn't well known today is that in the 1960s, Mexico City was a bit of a spy central, a launching ground and meeting place for counterintelligence throughout the Americas. Oswald being in such a place should have raised eyebrows for sure, but it seems that nothing came of it until after JFK's assassination. Anyone who's seen footage of the JFK assassination probably remembers Clint Hill, the Secret Service agent who climbed onto the back of the vehicle immediately after.
We had no threats, no information that would lead us to believe that it was going to be a major problem.
Hill was assigned to Jackie, not the president, yet it seemed like he was the only agent who took action. In his 2022 book, My Travels with Mrs. Kennedy, he revealed how the resulting PTSD once caused him to attempt to end his life. It was the night of December 29, 1963, just over a month after JFK was killed. Hill was assigned to head Jackie Kennedy's detail in Palm Beach, Florida, where she and her children were to visit extended family. The events of November 22nd were, as always, running through his head. Hill was drinking at a bar, then left and headed toward the ocean, entering the water fully clothed where he considered drowning himself.
I was the only agent who was in a position to do anything that day.
Speaking to NPR's Radio Diaries in November 2023, Hill shared his feelings of guilt over the assassination, for which he blamed himself. After the incident, he went into a deep depression at his Virginia home. Hill recalled, "I lived on 2 packs of cigarettes a day and a bottle of scotch. That's how I slept." Now he counsels people suffering from PTSD, stressing the importance of talking to others. As he told NPR, "The more they talk about it, the better they're going to feel." If you or someone you know needs help with mental health, please contact the Crisis Text Line by texting HOME to 741-741. Call the National Alliance on Mental Illness Helpline at 1-800-950-NAMI 6264 or visit the National Institute of Mental Health website.